Hi, it's me, Chia. Welcome. So, my book isn't black enough. The topic of today's video is kind of like my personal take on a subject matter. Now, recently I haven't gotten a lot of questions about it, but once in a while a question pops up and I think, oh, I've already addressed this. I don't know, I'm still addressing this. And the reason why this topic is so iffy to me is because I never used to think about it before, but when I started to pursue writing as a professional, the subject became so important in the industry. I started seeing a lot of articles and online discussions about representing your color, representing your ethnicity, your country, your continent, why the difference between what a black author is, what an African author really is. Is an African author an African writing books, or do you have to write about the African struggle actually? So it was just a weird thing. Creativity has always been about pursuing your own interests, and it was kind of like you have to learn early on how to address this subject matter. I didn't want to put too much emphasis on it when I started writing, but early on I got a lot of flack for not writing a book that was African enough, Nigerian enough, Igbo enough, black enough. And at this point I feel like I've addressed issue enough anytime I'm asked a question about it, but I decided, just for the sake of finality, that I should put all the questions I could think of that were raised about it into one video so I could just have it here and move forward. So without further ado, these are the common questions and complaints I received before and after publishing Memory of Stone. Bear in mind that most of these complaints came from people who have actually never read the book. Number one question: why isn't your story set in Nigeria? And my address to that question is, why should it be set in Nigeria? Honestly, creativity is about exploring different things outside your scope of understanding most of the time. If I'm writing a fantasy novel especially, it's like the world is made up, so it doesn't have to be set in the place I'm from. It's not like I don't enjoy stories set in Nigeria, or that I would never write stories set in Nigeria. But each book, it's its own thing. I didn't rule out stuff. It's clearly just one book you've seen from me that is not set in Nigeria. So it's a matter of, for this story, it just didn't click for me that way, so I didn't have to set it in Nigeria. And part of the reason why this is funny to me when people ask me this question is because when you read writers outside Nigeria who write stories, mythology from other places, they don't get asked, why did this person write about Greek mythology or Roman mythology when you're clearly not from Greece or Rome or anything? And it's like, why aren't you asking them that question? Why is it me you're asking this question to? The second question is, how can you call yourself a Nigerian writer if you don't write about Nigeria? And this is back to the popular online debate about what an African writer is or what a Nigerian writer is. And again, if a person not from Africa is writing about Africa, will you call the person an African writer? You have to understand that there's a noun and verb of it all. I'm a Nigerian writer because I am a Nigerian and I am a writer, so I'm a Nigerian writer. I'm writing in my country, I'm getting published through my country, I'm getting edited, beta read, all of that good stuff in my country. Not like I can't take some of those things outside the country to get done, but for all intents and purposes, I'm a Nigerian, so I'm a Nigerian writer. So if I'm not writing about Nigeria in one specific book, it doesn't automatically take away my nationality card. I am still from where I am. I can't change that. I would not want to change that. So yes, please do not ask a Nigerian why they are calling themselves a Nigerian writer when they are clearly Nigerian. Number 3 is a complaint, and that is, why do you want to copy white people? Now, I'll admit I've only heard this maybe twice, but it was such a bizarre question or statement to hear that I remembered it, because I'm trying to do something for myself. I enjoy writing. I've been writing practically all my life. I've been inspired by different people around the world to write. And just personally, I wouldn't pick up a book during the writing process because I'm that much like making attempts not to be influenced by someone else's writing style. So when I clearly come out boldly to talk about where I'm from, etc., why would you think I'm trying to hide under being white or something? I don't know how to put it, but it's just that ridiculous to me because I'm not copying white people. I'm learning from great writers and I'm putting my own style and my own preference for each story I'm writing. Each story will have a different topic, each story will have different characters, so each story would end up being a different flavor. So I'm not copying this white person or the white people. I'm just writing and enjoying the process. The fourth one is at least your characters should be black. And okay, I get it. I get why people think I should write black characters. Mind you, my book actually has many characters in it that are black or proportionally. Yes, I don't have one race in mind or color or ethnicity or whatever when I'm thinking of a character. If it's not about that, if the thing is not about where the person is from compared to the real world, then I'm not worried about their skin color. I choose descriptions based on what I like. Oh, I like green eyes, so I want green eyes. I like brown eyes, so I want brown eyes. Things like that. So I'm not thinking of this person has to be from this place. I really don't care. So I'm just writing what I feel I want this character to look like just for the sake of this character. And sometimes I'm not even thinking about it. Some characters don't have descriptions. So if you like that character, you want that character to be black, then let the character be black. Draw a character art, and if it's nice to catch on, I might like it too. So it's not like I'm trying to avoid writing black characters. A lot of the characters, at least in Memory of Stone, that are not described, I imagine them black, but not like, I'm not going to say I imagine them African or Nigerian, because it was not a matter of the real world. The story is so far removed from the real world that I was not comparing it based on any existing place. So I'm not going to imagine this ethnicity. I'm just going to imagine, oh, I like this complexion, or oh, I want this complexion of this person, or oh, wouldn't it be cool if there's a mix of this and that and that and that there. So I understand representation, why people need that representation, but I don't have to put it in every book because of I happen to be black. The next one is more pointed. It's kind of similar to the last one, but it's how can I identify with my book if my MC doesn't even look like me? And I find this one funny because when I wrote my MC, at least in Memory of Stu, when I wrote Nyx, I didn't even think she was like me. It was only after publication and I got asked, told by people who knew me to some degree that the character reminded them of me in some ways, that I even saw any similarity. So I was just writing a character. I wanted to write someone that was strong and had problems to deal with, and I wasn't trying to identify with the character in that sense, but understanding that I took from myself made me identify with that character. I did not need her to look exactly like me for me to say, oh, I relate. And I think that's like a thing. You don't need someone to look like you to understand what the person is going through in that sense. For the sake of younger children, kids in general, I understand why they specifically need that representation, because if they're only reading about a white person being the hero, they will not readily imagine themselves as heroes. So obviously there are books out there for representation purposes, and I will write books not for representation purposes in that sense, but just express the different human forms and emotions and minds and everything. So I don't need my main character to look like me, because another black person will not relate even, and all of that. I will just write who I want to write. The sixth question, which actually annoys me, is there are more important things to write about in Nigeria. And again, I think from all the previous questions, it feels contradicting because I did not write a Nigerian book. But for the fact that I'm exploring a genre that is barely written about in this country and people are upset about that is baffling, because you walk into almost any bookstore and the first Nigerian book you're presented with is literary fiction, the war, the struggle, the politics, the making money, the family history, the problems of all of that, and all those important subjects and etc. are being addressed by almost every author I know. So why can't I write something different? Am I supposed to pick up someone else's work and copy it? I enjoy fantasy, so I don't know why someone will be angry that I'm not writing something heavy. If you don't like light stories, if you don't like adventure, if you don't like fighting, if you don't like magic, etc., then my book is not for you. Don't tell me to change my whole writing style to suit your personal taste. The next one is, aren't there Nigerian folklore you could use? And this one is like a let's not go there. I like some Nigerian folklore. I have explored some of it in my writing. I will continue to explore them. But my personal experience when I was still ghostwriting, just going to the libraries or even trying to get word of mouth stories was such a painful struggle, because I realized how little people were willing to divulge about Nigeria before colonization, Nigeria before any religion that we currently practice besides the traditional religions. And it just made the whole process upsetting that it was easier to find things outside Nigeria to write about, to study, because even if it's not about believing them, it's about knowing them, just for fictional sake, at least knowing that these things exist and you have material to work with. So if someone is telling me that I should use more Nigerian folklore, provide it, write the folklore, compile the list of stories, because most stories I even see are even Yoruba stories. If I had an Igbo person wrote about Yoruba folklore, I probably would have gotten credit about why I was not using Igbo folklore. So things like that, there's just going to be a complaint one way or the other. So yes, there are Nigerian folklore. I've enjoyed them as a kid, but I have base knowledge because I heard them as a kid maybe once, like each story maybe once. So I don't have enough material to work with unless I invent my own thing, which I can do, but it did not make sense for the one book of Memory of Stone I was writing, because the storyline was something else entirely. If it's like I've written up to 5 books, 10 books, and not one of them have anything to do with Nigerian folklore, that's when you can question me, because that's when I'm clearly avoiding anything to do with my nationality, my heritage, my ethnicity, etc. Well, this is literally one book published, one series published, and you're complaining that I did not use Nigerian folklore to write it. If you want to use Nigerian folklore to write, if you want to read about Nigerian folklore, honestly write it yourself. And this is not a this is a thing. Writers write because they haven't seen what they want to read. That's part of it. Oh, I really want to read about this particular type of magic kind, but I've never read that in a book, so I'm going to invent my own magic system to meet that thing I want to read about. That is what writing is. If you want the Nigerian folklore more, write it yourself. The last question thing on this list is, who are you writing for? Who will read your book? And thinking about it now, when those questions came, I already believe that I had the people out there who are willing to read my book, but recently it's just dawned on me how many people there actually are willing to read my book, who want to read my book. So it's kind of the doubt people had, which I didn't believe before, is even less significant now, because I am seeing the fruits of the labor. I am seeing people coming out and saying that they want to read this book and asking me for it and hoping I sign for them and all of that good stuff. So yes, my thing is, there are people who want to read my book. I'm writing for people who want to read it. Simple. So my book, specifically Memory of Stone, isn't black enough. So what? It's an enjoyable read. There is nothing about it, to my understanding, that is insulting to anybody. There is nothing wrong with the book, to my understanding. So if you enjoy a good fantasy novel, if you enjoy a good fighting action sequence, if you enjoy exploring new worlds, then the book is for you. It doesn't have to be black enough before you enjoy it. And yes, that basically covers this video for today. I just wanted to have all these points addressed in one place finally and just call it a day, or call it a thing. And I have done that, so I hope that in some way you understood me more, understood my books more, or are comfortable enough to explore different types of writing if you want to write a book. And that is it for my video today. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.